start a bit and ask about your consultancy, if you don't mind. So do you
Yeah.
mind giving me a bit of your background?
Yeah, so I started my career as a conference interpreter. So I'm one of these people sitting in the booth and doing simultaneous translation into Spanish and English. And I was dealing just with a lot of international delegations, etc. Then I ended up in the UK, where I retrained as a teacher of modern foreign languages. And I started working in the UK. Then I have the same as you. I also ended up as a trading spouse from UK and Switzerland. And I worked here. I started working at schools as a Dutch teacher. That's German as a foreign language for those students who do speak little or no German. And I just realized, because I have a lot of expat friends, that they often ask me like, sort of, how's this working, that working? And I just realized how different the system is, especially like coming from the UK or another, particularly Anglo-Saxon system, or a system, even France, that works very, very differently. And I think I just started, yeah, probably 10, 12 years ago, just as giving advice to friends, while actually working within the Swiss system. And then I started running seminars, so information seminars about starting school in Switzerland, etc. And it just evolved over time that I got more and more families approaching me and saying like, well, thank you, your seminar was very useful, but actually, do you also have a bit more private, tailored consultation? And I think that really changed a lot with COVID, because then, as everyone else, I discovered webinars. And so that also meant like I could obviously reach a lot of people who are not yet in the country. Before that, my business was very much face to face, and now it's probably mostly online. Although I do still give talks and seminars, etc. Yeah, and I think it's also involved in the sense of giving generic information to actually being a bit more of a, I don't know, like sort of really solving quite particular, quite individual queries from homeschooling, or transition from international school to local school with no German. So it tends to get more and more specialized. And yeah, that's yeah.
And where do you find most of your clients come from?
That has changed. It used to be the UK. Unfortunately, with Brexit, yeah. Now I would say the biggest part comes from the US.
Okay.
US and also Eastern Europe.
Okay.
And also to a smaller part, Western Europe. Obviously, a lot of Germans, but it's a bit more similar, the Swiss system, to the German system. So I tend to get less requests from Germans.
Right.
But definitely US is definitely by far sort of, yeah, the biggest client base I have.
And what are kind of some of the biggest concerns that some of the expat families have?
I think by far the biggest concern is that on the one hand, they quite like to, they would like to integrate, and they would quite like to get the local system a try, but they hear also a lot of things about like, oh my God, everyone here is doing an apprenticeship, and children are not allowed to study, and it's very strict. And I think there's a lot of, I wouldn't say misinformation, because obviously the system is different, but also I think just lack of information about like the different pathways. And so I think the most requests I get is like, well, I don't know, I'm arriving here with young children, like, should I go local, or am I closing down, I don't know, pathways or doors? So that's a big concern.
Yeah, because the system, I'm from Canada, and the system is quite different. I think in a way, there's far more options with this system than there is in Canada, because I always felt that it was the university pathway or you're a failure. So I really appreciate that there's so many different ways that you can nurture somebody. So yeah, but I can understand the confusion. And I know that there's some differences between the cantons as far as the system. Are there significant differences, or is it just sort of subtle?
Yeah, actually, like in a way, you could almost say like you have 26 different systems. I
Really?
mean, with some cantons, there are less difference with the others. But I just if you want to compare Zurich and Basel, for instance, a good
Yeah.
case in point. In Zurich, you have under, I think it's
Excuse me just a
stands at
moment. There's somebody mowing the lawn just outside my window. I'm just going to close the window.
yeah, no worries.
That's better.
So it starts with the fact that in Zurich, you have under 20% children joining the. So no, it starts actually with the fact that in Zurich, most parents try to get their children to join the academic track after primary school. That's a so-called gymnasium. In Zurich, you have either the 6-year or the 4-year program. And for both programs, there is an entry exam that is actually like really meant to kind of filter out over 50% of all applicants. And I think the overall gymnasium rate is only like, it's under 20%. And in Basel, there's only a 4-year gymnasium program. That means like children go to the primary school, then they do secondary school. They are in different ability sets, but there isn't this special like academic track as there is in Zurich. And then they only go for 4 years. So you also have the selection, but the selection is not done via, is not relying on entrance exam. It's actually relying on grades, behavior, and teacher recommendation.
Okay, and those are the middle school years from grades 7 to 9. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so middle school is from 7 to 9. You have the same model in Zurich, but then as a fourth component, you have the so-called gymnasium, the long-term gymnasium 6-year program, and the short-term gymnasium 4-year program. Whereas in Basel, you only have the 4-year program.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's slightly different. I would say, I think the main difference is really the entrance exam, because that's a really how do you say, a bottleneck in Zurich, and many parents in Zurich are very unhappy about it, because it is a written exam in German and maths, so previous grades count, but only 50%, and then it all depends on the entrance exam. And
I mean, that sounds very stressful. Tough. Yeah. I'm glad they don't have that in Basel. I guess I suppose you come from the German system, which I'm not sure how different that is, but I guess I would like to know kind of some of the advantages and disadvantages of the Swiss system as you see it.
I think compared to other systems with a quite heavy focus on high school entry and university, the advantages are obviously like it's more linear. So you don't have this vocational academic split at quite a young age as you do in Switzerland. That can benefit children who need more time to mature. Having said that, the Swiss system does allow for